Is Julian Lewis on flip watch after spending his Saturday on campus at UGA with Kirby Smart? That is what we're going to talk about in this video. And I got Rusty Mansell from Dogs HQ on this one. Now, Julian Lewis, he wasn't the only big name in Athens over the weekend. The Dogs had a big junior day just before the dead period kicked in. And we're going to get into that as well. But first, UGA fans, hit subscribe for me. We are growing this On3 Recruits channel. We're talking Dogs all offseason. We need you guys to be a part of it. So go ahead, hit subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Okay, let's bring on Rusty Mansell, and we're going to break down this Julian Lewis situation here in a minute. There's a few other big names on campus that I want to talk about. And first and foremost, let's start with edge Zion Grady. Fresh off that decommitment from Alabama about a month ago now. Did UGA make a statement over the weekend?
I don't think it hurt their chances any. And Josh, we've been doing this long enough to know when a recruit takes a school serious. And I'm not saying Georgia's the only school he's taken serious, but I will say this. He came up on an unofficial visit this weekend. He brought his mom, both his uncles, and 2 cousins. So when you start looking at schools and you want to say, hey, I could potentially go to school here, you want everybody around you to kind of have that feeling of, what's your thoughts here? When I'm here, I feel good. Chidera, the outside linebacker coach, has done a great job with him. Glenn Schumann as well has been involved with this recruitment. Now T-Rob coming over from Alabama, who's very familiar with him. So, I'm not saying that like Georgia's going to get him right now, but I do think that Georgia's a real threat here.
Yeah, they're sitting in a good spot. I also want to talk about this big mammoth of an offensive tackle that showed up. His name is Nick Brooks. He goes 6'7", 345 now. He was committed to Iowa for a while. How did UGA get involved here? Tell me about it, Rusty.
Well, this young man, Nick Brooks, was originally from Iowa. He moved down to Metro Atlanta. He knows Brandon Jacobs. He moved down to Metro Atlanta in like the 6th grade. He spent the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade playing high school in the state of Georgia, 9th and 10th grade. Transferred to Buford last spring. Went through spring practice at Powerhouse Buford. Then he transferred back home. He went back to Iowa. Cedar Rapids, Iowa is where he's from, with his mom's living there. And obviously a big-time prospect like that in the state of Iowa is going to be a big target. He verbally commits to there, and he kind of backs off. I hadn't heard a whole lot about Georgia with him until last week. I saw Stacy Searles. I saw Nick Brooks tweet a picture of Stacy Searles up in Iowa to see him. Then he comes down this weekend. Now, I'm telling you, man, I have seen Nick Brooks when he was a freshman. Josh, the first time I ever saw him, he was 6'6", 3/4, 329 pounds as a 9th grader.
Wow.
Now I would be willing to bet he pushes 6'8" the next time he's measured somewhere. So, Georgia likes these big guys, these big human beings, these 1 percentile human beings. Nick Brooks is one of those guys that Georgia fans might have kind of forgot about when he moved out of state, but he's certainly on the radar in Athens.
Yeah, seems like a priority heading forward. Now let's get into what all the buzz was about this weekend, and that was Julian Lewis on campus in Athens. Now, he is committed to the USC Trojans, but since he reclassified up to the 2025 cycle, it just seems like things are starting to take off. Did Georgia roll out the red carpet for him? How much of a priority did you get the sense that Julian Lewis is for Kirby Smart and his staff?
One of the best things about the On3 player profiles, if you click that recruiting tab on Juju Lewis, you can go down and you can count the number of visits. When you go down and count the number of visits in high school, this is his 13th visit to the University of Georgia since he's a freshman. And, that tells you that they're definitely on his mind. I think Georgia obviously understands having a major in-state target at quarterback. He knows a lot of kids. He has a lot of pull around the country. Still committed to USC, but he has taken multiple visits. He has made sure that he's going to see a lot of schools. I think Georgia is definitely in play here. Kirby Smart, Mike Bobo, everybody spent time with him. You saw the picture of Kirby Smart sitting with him at the basketball game. Mike Bobo goes through a long presentation, watched a couple Carrollton games, I'm told, with he and his family. So I think he's a big major target.
Oh, man. Well, after the visit, Jeremy Johnson of Dogs HQ caught up with Julian Lewis, and this quote caught my eye. Quote, "I'm still committed to USC," Lewis said, "and I'm kind of taking my final tours before I close things out and trying to see the last little things that are going on. I'm still solid with USC right now." To me, that sounds like he's flipping. He is searching for something. He's searching for something. He says, before I close the thing out. So, Rusty, we know Georgia, but who else is a threat to flip Julian Lewis from his commitment to USC?
Well, I think Colorado, I think Alabama before the coaching change. So I think he wants to give that staff as well a chance now to he went over and had a visit with them. I think Colorado's a real threat here. Here's the thing, Josh. When he reclassified, it put things into fifth gear for him. So, playtime is kind of this time next January, he will be now enrolled as a mid-year enrollee at a school of his choice. So, things have sped up. And I'll tell you this, I don't know when he's going to make a quote-unquote final decision, but you can bet that when it opens back up in March, people are going to be racing to get him to spring practice to watch these schools. And this could be something we watch in June. You want to talk about what if Juju Lewis has 5 official visits in June? That could get real interesting real quick.
That could get real crazy. So is he, we kind of talked about a week ago, you and I, Rusty, about Georgia's quarterback board and how they're kind of not slow playing it, but just kind of figuring out who is on that board. So right now, is the whole QB board Julian Lewis?
No, it's not. It's not the whole QB board. I don't think Georgia would ever do that. I don't think Alabama, Florida State, anybody says it's the whole board. But I think he is a very, very pivotal and a major, major target for this Georgia staff, especially when he reclassified. That just sped everything up. All the decisions have to be made. And listen, most kids know. I mean, it's going to be hard. If you want to take 2 quarterbacks with Julian Lewis, I don't see it happening. I don't know another kid's going to go in a class with him right now. So, when he makes his quote-unquote final decision, it's going to create a lot of ripple effect through the 2025 class and where kids end up.
All right. Well, the message boards are talking, and so is Twitter. So I got to ask you, did Julian Lewis get his car stolen on the visit?
No, it wasn't on his visit. He went to the airport in Atlanta after his visit, and he was flying to Indiana to get one last visit in on Sunday. And, man, I felt his pain. I talked to you a little bit off the air, had my truck stolen in Atlanta before, and it makes you want to just throat punch somebody to know that somebody took your stuff. But, that young man got his car stolen at the airport, and I hope that whoever did that gets called, and I'm sure that the Atlanta airport.
This isn't something that's going to impact his recruitment to Georgia. I know rival fans are hoping and praying that this turns him off to Georgia, but that's not the case, right?
That's why we have a job. Like somebody was praying that he got his truck stolen in Athens, but it was about 2 hours away at the world's busiest airport. And I hate to say this, but that's about an everyday theme there. So lock your car and take your keys with you and do everything you can there at Atlanta Airport.
Last question. So when do you think Julian Lewis, quote, closes this thing out, whatever that means?
I haven't pushed him for an answer. I know they're doing their due diligence. There's so many people are pulling at them so many ways. I said something about June visits. I don't think it's going to get to that. I would think sometime as spring practice starts at Carrollton in the first week of May, it wouldn't surprise me if sometime during May, because Julian knows there are going to be so many kids through that school to see other players. It wouldn't surprise me if he has a final, quote-unquote, final decision before June and doesn't let it get into that month because he's made 13 visits to Georgia. Yeah. I mean, made visits all over the country. He's seen everything he needs to see. He's met with coaches. He'll get to go to a few spring practices. So I don't know if this will get into June.
All right, Rusty Mansell, thank you for updating us on this Julian Lewis visit and a big junior day in Athens. Appreciate you dropping by the Inside Scoop today.
I'm going to vouch for you, and all Georgia fans need to subscribe. Josh is a made man. Josh has an MVP camp T-shirt at home. He's been a made man for a long time. So click and subscribe to my guy. I give y'all permission. He's a made man.
I appreciate you, Rusty.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.